In a world searching for gaming knowledge comes the man, the myth, a legend in his own mind, Critical.
Hey guys and gals, Critical here, and today I'm bringing you some information on For the King. Now this is going to be a new game on my channel, and I'm going to do a Let's Play, but there is so much behind the scenes, so many nuances to this game that I really think it needs a primer. Something to get you guys, if you're going to try this game out, that you don't have a bad experience to start with. I'm going to do what I can to give you a leg up. Now this first episode is just the basics of the game. The next episode I'm probably going to talk about combat, because I think it needs an entire episode. There's so much going on. But let's get down to the nitty and gritty. First off, you're going to die. You're going to die often. You may die so much that you want to pull out what hair you may have left. If you've ever played a game called Dark Souls, they came out with a version of their game for PC called the Prepare to Die Edition. Basically, they should have called this For the King, Prepare to Die. It's the name of the game. This game has a roguelike element to it. You're expected to die. This game brings me back to the days of laying out a map and using painted figurines and dice to play through a campaign that would probably take all weekend, but now in a convenient digital format. The game is best described as a tabletop dice game with a blend of strategy, JRPG Combat, and roguelike elements. Each playthrough is made unique with procedural maps, quests, and events. Now, the quests and events aren't themselves procedural, but the location of the quest, the location of the event is procedural, because the map is constantly changing. Every time you start the game over, that's what happens. So why are you starting the game over? If you run out of time on the quest, there's chaos that starts to affect the world. Once chaos gets so high in the world, basically you have raining fiery death coming down, and it's constantly hurting your tunes, and eventually everybody's going to die. So if all your tunes die, you have to start the game over again. Now, the only thing that carries forward when you die is the knowledge that you've earned by playing the game and lore points. More on that in just a moment. So everything in this game is affected by you rolling to check skills. You're doing skill checks constantly. You can right click to use focus to guarantee a dice roll, meaning if I have 3 focus and I'm going to be trying to ambush this imp right here, if I use 3 focus points, I can guarantee a successful roll on ambushing this imp. If I try and I use 1 or 2, I've bettered my chances but not guaranteed it. In this case, I didn't use any and I failed. The game is luck based, but you can affect luck by using focus. The strategy or skill in this game is doing it at the right time and the right way. I talked about lore. And when you complete quest, when you earn lore by completing the main quest line, there's several different parts to the quest line and several different pieces, but as you complete each piece, you'll earn lore. Random dungeons and POIs. If there's like a dark cave appears, and once you're high enough level, if you go all the way through it, and it's usually between 3 and 4 rooms that you have to traverse, you'll get to a chest at the end, and inside a chest could be a number of lore books, which gives you lore points, and magical items or herbs. When you go to the lore store, you can purchase unlocks for your characters, items, encounters, and location. When you're unlocking different characters in the game, you'll have access to these different style of characters at the beginning of the game. That's the only thing that you unlock that starts with you at the beginning of the game. When you unlock items, encounters, and locations, these are like add-ons to the base game. It's all in there, but you have to play through the game, earn the lore points, go and decide what parts of the lore do I want to unlock, and then you have to start the game and go find it. You can start with a completely different party, 3 different character types, and then unlock weapons and encounters and POIs, but then the procedural map is generated. Those things are scattered throughout the world, and you have to either earn them in quests, find them on the map, or just get lucky. This gives us an amazing amount of replayability to the game, because every playthrough it can be completely different. Every time I've started this game, it's always, I mean, yes, there's a basic go to wood smoke. That's the first quest zone you have to go to. But what you encounter along the way to get there, or where it sends you, is completely different every single time. It's really cool. I'm loving this game. So let's go over some of the characters, the basic characters. I want to dive deep in on each character as separate videos, but today we're just going to start with the basics. When you first start the game, you have no lower points unlocked. All you're going to have access to is a hunter, a blacksmith, a scholar, and a minstrel. Your hunter is your ranged attack individual using bows, and he also has an ability called Called Shot. Called Shot is it's automatically going to hit and almost always going to be a crit when he uses a Called Shot. Now, what really sucks sometimes is if you're getting ready and you really need this attack to hit, you'll use up several, if not all, of your focus points to make sure you hit, and he does a Called Shot on. You didn't have to use any lore points, or excuse me, any focus points, and you still would have gotten the hit. So that can hurt when that happens. But it's random when it's going to proc. It's a skill check. The blacksmith is your tank individual. All right, heavy armor, shield. She starts with a blacksmith's hammer. And they have a skill called Steadfast. Now, what Steadfast does is when it procs, any damage that your tune would have taken from an attack is automatically negated. No matter how much damage it was going to be, it's 0-0. Awesome ability. Now, when you start the game with your blacksmith, she has a shield that can taunt. What taunt does is it tries to get the enemies to focus all their attacks on you. It doesn't always work, but even when it procs, sometimes it only affects certain mobs. So it's a little bit random in that effect, but a lot of times it'll affect every mob that's in the playing field, and they'll all be attacking you instead of your squishies. The scholar is your mage character. They're doing magical attacks, usually with a mage book or a wand of some sort. And then they have an ability called Refocus. What happens with Refocus at the end of their turn, it's a percentage chance that they will activate their Refocus, and they'll gain a focus point back that they've already used, which is nice because that can save you in the end. The minstrel is your bard, for a better word. They have magical attacks and magical buffs. They can encourage and inspire your other tunes. We'll go a little deeper in that when we're actually in the combat phase of the tutorial, because that's definitely, it's a buff and it's harder to explain in just this quick rundown. Now, when you first start the game, you're going to come up on the screen. The first thing you're going to see is they're going to tell you to go to Wood Smoke. This is your main quest. You have 14 rounds to complete all parts of this quest. So my advice is make sure that you keep moving forward toward the goals, but make sure you're fighting as many mobs as you can on the way to Wood Smoke and to the other parts of the mission that they send you on. The reason for this is you need the experience, you need the gold, and you need the levels to be able to do the other parts of the mission. If you were to rush over to Wood Smoke trying to avoid all the mobs and then go to the next part, you're going to get slaughtered because you're not going to have the levels, the experience, the gold, or the equipment to take on these missions. Yes, you got to take it slow and steady, but you can't stop and smell the God's Beard. You got to pick that God's Beard, which is your healing herb, and move on quickly. Stats. Now, as in with most RPGs that I've played, they have strength, vitality, intelligence, awareness, talent, and speed. We'll go more into that in the next one, but get it down to the basics. when you're using your weapon, you have to do a skill check, and you're skill checking against your total points and say strength. So I'm going to swing my hammer. I have a 72 strength. Okay? I have to roll at least 28 or better percentage on each dice to get a complete attack. You'll have, like with the blacksmith's hammer, there's 4 rolls that you have to check. So that dice is rolled 4 times. And as long as you roll 28 or better percents, then you're going to get a full attack and have a chance for a critical. It is kind of confusing. Once we get into the combat phase of it, it'll make a lot more sense. Okay, if you look at your character model, they also have armor, resistance, evasion, and attack damage. So that top little shield is your armor. The purplish one is your resistance. The one under that is your evasion. And evasion is really nice because it's better to evade an attack than to get hit by an attack and help your shield and armor. And then it tells you your actual attack damage. Now, I know you guys are looking on the screen. You're not seeing that last one, that attack damage. That attack damage was actually added in an update. And this is my original live stream of the game, which I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'll be completely honest. Now, stats, armor, and skill checks can only be affected by gear, POI events, and herbs. Now, what I mean by stat skill checks, meaning if you keep missing your evasion, all right, your awareness for your hunter, and it checks your awareness to do the attack. If you're doing really bad at it and you're like, this is driving me crazy, get equipment, get trinkets, get necklaces, get armor that raise your awareness. The more awareness you have, the easier it'll be to not only hit more often, but hit for more damage and get more criticals. Now, what you just saw on the screen is the minstrel inspired the hunter, meaning that very first attack roll that I had to do, she inspired me and I automatically got that roll. That was a free focus from her. Another thing to notice is, let's say I just got shocked by lightning. Lightning can give you a shocking debuff. The shocking debuff makes it so that your very first attack roll is always a failure. If you have the focus, put one focus into your attack and you negate the shock damage. That will save you. I don't know how many times that has saved my butt when I'm doing the final part of the first quest and I get into the dungeon and all these lightning attacks are happening on me. Oh god, it drives you crazy. Be aware of that. If you have shocking damage, use a single focus and it negates the shocking debuff. We've looked at the stats, we've looked at see what raises the stats, and I brought up the herb. Herbs in this game are, it's your medicine, it is your buffs, and it's all done by smoking. You have a pipe. Now there's a pipe level. I always try to get my pipe leveled at the first level ASAP. But to use the pipe to smoke herbs, and the level affects the power of the herb itself. A pipe diffuser, which is a very rare job. If you get it, equip it immediately. It will spread the herb effects to your other party members. So let's say you're in a little dungeon and you're all fighting along and everybody's taking some damage and my tank says, okay, I'm going to take this turn and I'm going to pack my pipe with some healing herb and smoke it real quick. The diffuser causes those fumes to affect the other party members and they get some benefit from your herb. Very potent and very important. Okay, focus. Focus is those little yellowish dots above the characters' names. It allows you to increase movement, distance, or affect skill checks. Right-click on the map to use focus to add movement. And then you right-click on an attack to add focus to that attack before you left-click to activate the attack. I just did that on screen. Got it perfect and I attacked. Focus is your, I don't want to say cheat, but it's the way that you can affect the luck in the game. I decided to use all my focus to attack that bird. Now, like I said, I was new to all this. That was definitely a waste, but I got a tinder pouch back because that bird had actually stolen the tinder pouch. They're scavengers, and that is worth a ton of gold because it is the only way that while out in the world, you can camp, meditate to get your focus back, and heal while you're on the move. Very important. A couple things I want to point out in case you're going to not wait until the next part and you just want to jump into the game, and trust me, it's how I did it. Try to include all party members into each fight if possible. If you have party member that has an attack with splash or all damage, meaning it's going to hit everything on the screen, make sure that your single target attacks, like my blacksmith, is attacking the far right or the far left enemy. Because your splash damage, you want that to be on your center enemy so that it splashes both right and left and hits everything. If both, let's say both players, your hunter and your warrior, attack the center tune and kill the center tune, and then your scholar has gotten lucky and gotten a tome that allows them to do a splash damage attack, and he uses that splash damage attack on the far right, the one on the far left is not going to be affected because he wasn't able to target the one in the center. Very useful. The most important thing, in my opinion, turn off auto end turn. The reason I say that is so that you can change equipment or add movement points to other party members before ending your turn. Because when you've moved your full distance, even though you can't move anymore, you can still change your equipment or transfer equipment between characters that are close together. What you can't do is actually smoke an herb or use a piece of equipment. You need to save at least one movement point to do that. But if you get to the end and you're like, oh man, I forgot to pass that awesome dagger to my tank and I want to get it over to them, and you just get within range to pass it on, but you used up all your movement points, that turn will end, and now you might not be able to transfer it. That's why I said, turn off the auto end, so you have to manually end the turn. I find that to work better for me. There are different biomes in this game. You start in a plains biome, and the plains affect your movement and your combat distance to a certain extent, but when you move into the swamp part of the game, everything shrinks down. You can't move as far, and your combat distance isn't as far. What I mean by combat distance is the number of hexes that'll pull other mobs in, including your own party members, so that they're fighting at your side. So when you change biomes, make sure you check how much, is my distance for movement affected, and am I really sure that party member, which is 2 tiles away, is going to get pulled into the fight? Because if they're not highlighted, you might be fighting 3 ogres all by yourself, and you're probably going to die. And on that note, when one of your party members dies in the game, you revive them, you gain a mark of chaos. It starts affecting the game. The more chaos you have, the harder the game gets, to the point you have raining fiery death that's trying to kill you. I also mentioned it before, but I'm going to say it again because it's really important. Try to get each of your adventurer's pipes to level 1 ASAP when you're in town. Any gold you can. You can transfer items and gold between characters as long as they're adjacent to each other. Take advantage of that to make sure that your tunes have enough gold to get into the market and upgrade, or into services, and upgrade your pipes, because every time you upgrade your pipe, it makes every herb in the game work much better for you. Once you have level 2 pipes, and if you had a diffuser, man, you're just blowing that smoke and everybody's getting happy thanks to you. Alright guys and gals, this has been a prelude to For the King. It's a primer. It's meant to get your feet wet so that you don't walk in completely blindsided. Because if I didn't have all the experience that I did playing tabletop games, role-playing games, I would have been completely lost. Now, I was lost when I started this game, but once I understood the nuances and what they were trying to do, I really started, okay, it's like, I see what they were saying. Okay, now I understand it. But I'm telling you, some of this stuff took me hours to pick up. And if I really wasn't into the game to begin with, and I was just like, I'll give it a try, I'll see how it is. I don't know if I like it yet or not. I could have missed out on a really good game because I got frustrated in the first hour. Fortunately, that didn't happen. I recognize now everything I did wrong when I first started the game. And I wanted to share that with you guys. That way you guys could have a fair shot at trying this game out. And I really think this game is going to be awesome. It is only in alpha right now. It is an amazing looking game that's in alpha. Guys, think about that. This game looks amazing. It runs really well. Almost no problems or hitches whatsoever. And it's only alpha. As long as they don't screw up the base game, it can only get better from here. What's not to love? Alright, hopefully you've enjoyed this content, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.